Good afternoon, Facebook. It's Friday. It's time for Today in Media. That means that my co-host, Julia Nissa, and I are going to break down the 5 most foolish takes that we have seen. Julia, what's going to kick us off?
So we are going to start with Joy Reid's tweets.
Okay.
Joy Reid took to Twitter and she is now saying that Trump is the cause of misogyny today.
Wow.
All of these things that have been coming out in the media regarding Weinstein, regarding Roy Moore, regarding Al Franken, those are somehow the cause of Trump, who is revealing the misogyny in society to us.
Yeah, this is classic Trump hysteria, in which you see a societal ill and you somehow try and link it to the man at the top. Donald Trump has some allegations against him which are very troubling and which are pretty bad, but that doesn't really have anything to do with him. The fact is that these allegations, for some reason or the other, mostly having to do with Harvey Weinstein more than anything else, have come out time and time again, and it's become a watershed moment. Whether that has to do with Trump or not, I don't think that's really the issue here. And yet somehow Joy Reid, as usual, is trying to find some of the most, dirty and disgusting parts of our society and peg it onto the president. And my question is, doesn't this get old after a while?
I think it does. Yeah. And she has a series of tweets, and in the second tweet she discusses Obama's era of administration and how he socially was this huge, prolific changer of positive change in his administration, and then of course Trump is the source for societal misogyny.
Except her shtick is becoming so old. Joy, come up with a new one. Let's move now to the Menendez trial, and this is something that the media really did not cover properly until the very end, whenever it came out that there has been a hung jury in terms of the corruption charges against Senator Menendez. The charges are pretty striking and pretty convincing, if you were to ask me, which is that the senator was accused of trading favors and accepting private plane visits and all sorts of goodies from a private friend, and then acting on his behalf as a government agent in order to advance his doctor friend's interests. Now, the media did not really cover the Menendez trial until the very end, right, Julia?
Yep. So at the very end, it was declared a mistrial.
Right.
They covered him speaking after his trial, after it was declared it would be a mistrial.
Prime time, right.
Prime time, he burst into tears, and now the DOJ is actually thinking of revisiting that trial. But previous to his speech, the major networks, they said zero to very little coverage talking about his trial, talking about the leading up. There's about 70 days worth of coverage that they could have done, and yet they're only going to discuss him when he comes out saying that he now is a mistrial.
I think one of the major problems here is that one of the things that they have done is they'll mention it for maybe a minute or two, but they'll spend about 90 minutes, on like a new Roy Moore accuser. I'm not saying that that isn't more important, but the fact is sitting senators on trial for high corruption. Right, and he was facing jail time. Yeah, these are major corruption allegations against the senator. And if you were to call out the media, I'm sure people at CNN will say no, and they would play us 6 or 7 amount of clips. But it's about relative coverage. We know that their heart wasn't in it whenever they were covering it, and these are very, very important allegations against somebody. And I think that it's wrong in order to only cover him whenever his name was cleared, even though it really wasn't, and to give him the platform that he sought, which was really to say that this is all a witch hunt. Now he's saying that it's about racism. It's absolutely ridiculous. But let's move on. We're going to talk about Joy Behar on The View. So let's take a look at what she had to say about Donald Trump, and then somehow connecting it to the recent allegations against Senator Al Franken.
Own up to it.
He says I apologize. No, but what about Trump? His people are saying that those women who accuse him are liars.
About Trump right now, though. I mean, again, we can have conversations about it, but I think the problem is when this is serious. I know her, and when you're saying what about Trump? What about Trump? Right now, we're talking about Leanne. So I think at the moment we should respect this moment.
On the Access Hollywood tape, hasn't it?
More.
Wow. So one thing I actually really appreciate about that video is the desperation on the part of one host, I don't even know her name, to be honest, by saying, can we just make this about the victim?
Yes. So it was Joy Behar and it was Meghan McCain.
Yes.
And they were discussing Al Franken and Leanne Tweeden, her allegations against Al Franken. And so, of course, Joy Behar has to jump in and make it somehow about Trump relating, and then Meghan McCain responds saying, no, that's not relevant. She knows Leanne tweeted, and this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the gross allegations against Franken by tweeting about groping her. That's what this issue is. It's a case-by-case basis, and we're talking about Franken right now. Where is the relevancy to Trump in that instance?
Yeah, and I think Meghan has the best point there, which is, she of all people has a beef with President Trump, who has attacked her father repeatedly. But the point is that this isn't about him, and this is just like the Joy Reid tweets. Is it like this has nothing to do with the president? Let's look at this in the vacuum and talk about the fact that a woman was groped, that there's photo evidence of that, and we need to litigate those charges in our media, in our discourse, without bringing in all this extraneous crap. But let's move on next, and we're going to talk about the Kate Harding, who is I guess a rape culture author. I didn't know that merited authorship, but
I guess it does for her.
And so Kate Harding wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post defending Al Franken. So why do you think that's bad, Julia?
So she defended Al Franken on the basis that he was a Democrat, and then we need to overlook short-term hardships for long-term goals.
Yes.
But this short-term hardship that she's referring to are sexual allegations of misconduct against a senator, and that is not acceptable.
This is exactly so. One of my favorite things that I've read this week is a 1998 Vanity Fair profile called "Clinton and Women," and it discusses this exact type of disgusting behavior, which is we can excuse Bubba, which is what they all called him at the time, because he stands for us, because he stands for the Family and Medical Leave Act, because he stands and is a pro-choice Democrat. This is exactly the thing they're saying here. They're saying we should take a morally relativistic stance here and say, yes, Al Franken's behavior is probably repugnant, but he's part of our team. All they're doing is reducing this into a tribalistic political fight, which is only going to make Republicans on the right dig in behind Roy Moore, because they'll be like, yeah, maybe he is a disgusting pedophile, but he'll vote the way we want him to. How does that sound to you, Mrs. Harding? I think that you would probably go after Republicans for saying that exact thing.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. It's only turning the tide. That kind of argument is only going to work against her when it comes to the Republican argument. They can take her exact words and turn it around and make it the Republican argument.
And you don't want that. Nobody wants this.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
And the thing, too, is that she's a self-proclaimed feminist.
Yeah,
and that's just ironic in itself for her to say, I'm a feminist, but I'm willing to overlook these sexual misconduct allegations against him, against Al Franken, in order for a long-term political goal. That is conflating both your social ideology of feminism and your political standing. And that is, that's low tier.
It's just totally contradictory.
It really
it's
is.
tribalism, and it's disgusting. Let's finally move on. We're going to discuss Casey Hunt, who works for MSNBC, and how she characterized the recent Al Franken allegations.
Potentially not actually groping, but mock groping her while she was asleep. So
there you go. The alleged may have happened decades old. I hear this all the time. This is exactly how they described Bill Clinton's accusers with Juanita Broaddrick. Like Andrea Mitchell during the campaign would say, the decades old and largely debunked allegations. Excuse me? I don't remember them being largely debunked. And many of the allegations against Mr. Weinstein, which they have gone after so virulently, are also about a decade or two old. But of course we have to believe them. Everybody who has these types of allegations should be heard, should have their day to be heard. And the fact is just, man, the tribalism again here, and the instinctual willingness to play cover for the people who are on the team. It's amazing to witness on both sides. It's on both sides. We have just been just as critical here of people on the right who are playing cover for Roy Moore, and this is what's more pernicious in a way is that these are the people who control the national media, who give you your news.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. What we're seeing right now is a political divide on an issue that should not be a political one. Like I said, this is a case-by-case basis. You analyze someone and their accusers based on that case, not based on their political standing. Yeah. And the thing that Casey Hunt doesn't discuss in that last comment is that there's actual photographic evidence of Al Franken on Leanne tweeting, groping her when she is asleep, and that was not consensual.
Al Franken has a long history of being a disgusting pig. You can go back and read some of his interviews, some of his rape jokes, and all of that. And, you know, that pretty much tells you everything you need to know. But a lot of people made a bargain a long time ago in this society, which is that we'll tolerate such behavior as long as they vote the way that we do.
Exactly, and that's what the media is portraying, and that is where the line is drawn, and that's not acceptable to tell the people of America.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. That's Today in Media, the 5 most foolish takes. Join us. We'll be back on Monday.